that should be all I need to do. I don't know if I'm gonna like this setup or not, but this is what we have right now. Welcome back to Midwest Midcard. What episode is this? 78. 78, but it's episode 1 on this new format. If this is your first time listening, welcome. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We are on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. You already know what it is. I am Carlos, also known as Air Carlos, also known as Midcard in the Midwest Midcard podcast. The format of the show has changed, and I kind of get into that, but wanted to have this space to kind of, just discuss some things that I've been going through, what's been going on since the last episode. Last episode that I did with my co-host Logan under the old format was a SummerSlam's predictions video. I don't know what happened, if my predictions were right or wrong, but I did attend SummerSlam. I had a huge month of August. If you hear that in the background a little bit, Izzy the dog, she's also part of the podcast. She's sitting here. But yeah, I had a pretty big August, I would say. I got to go to SummerSlam, of course. Other than SummerSlam, I also went to a preseason Bengals game. That was fun, too. The preseason game was fine. It's just a preseason game. Nothing really major happens at those. And it's kind of bullshit what's going on with the Bengals, if I'm being honest. They're just... Joe Burrow goes up there. He fucking throws like he's never thrown. Jamar Chase goes and catches the ball like he's never caught it. They're putting up the fucking Kobe numbers, just going absolutely fucking crazy. And then nothing. They just lose the game, and it's very disappointing to see as a Bengals fan. And we'll see what happens. This is the bye week this week. I don't remember who they play next week. I'll have to verify. I thought it maybe I don't know who it was. Probably the Steelers, if I'm not mistaken. They're not looking good. Other than SummerSlam and the preseason Bengals game, I actually did one of my bucket list items. I went to see Green Day in concert. Green Day is a band that I liked since... that was probably one of my favorite... I want to say that is my very first favorite band. I don't know that had to be it. I remember, growing up when MTV still played music, and I'm not trying to age myself, but they used to play, and at least in Mexico, they used to play this thing called the 10 Most Wanted, and it was just like a top 10 of the hottest music videos. And I do remember the American Idiot video. I also remember Boulevard of Broken Dreams and Jesus of Suburbia. That was like right when American Idiot, the album, came out. And going to see them live and them playing all of Dookie and the whole, all of American Idiot in order was very special to me, honestly. I know a lot of people don't put a lot of, worth into going to see, a band, but I do. I like I said, I enjoyed it. I had a really good time, and I hope I get to do it again. I also Rancid and the Linda Lindas opened for them, but I did not see them. Then the Smashing Pumpkins I did get to see, and Billy Corgan may not be able to book NWA, but he fucking rocks. The Smashing Pumpkins are incredible. If you ever get a chance to go see Green Day and the Smashing Pumpkins. I recommend it. There's nothing like seeing a rock band. I've been to my fair share of hip hop concerts. I've seen J. Cole on that same event. Big Sean opened for him. YG was there. Jeremy was there. I went to see Kendrick Lamar in concert, and I've seen Kanye in concert. They were all really great, especially J. Cole. That was probably my favorite hip hop concert. But there's nothing like seeing a rock band, especially like a band that turned themselves into an arena band like Green Day. They are very special. And again, if you get the chance, if you like that type of music or a different rock band, just go see them. They're fucking awesome. I know not everyone gets the chance. It took me almost 20 years, but obviously before, whenever American Idiot came out, I was a child, and now I'm an adult, so the time will come eventually. This is still a wrestling podcast, and I didn't mention this, and this might not work the way I want it, but we have behind me the midcard 5000. If it worked, then great, then you're going to be seeing stuff behind me. If not, then it's just a TV with a green t-shirt over it, and it's going to look really goofy. But we hope for the best. You know what? This episode might not even come out. I might just archive it, and it's never to be seen. But I promised that the podcast would come back, and I do like this space to talk, so let's talk some wrestling. The Survivor Series War Games, that's what it's called now. It is next Saturday, November 30th. Today is the 24th when I'm recording this. Survivor Series historically is not a show that I particularly look forward to. I do now because I do like War Games. Even if you watch it and you don't think that War Games is either what it used to be, back in WCW, or even by looking at something like, AEW with the Blood and Guts match. If you don't enjoy the fact that it's just not the same, that's perfectly fine. I personally just like a stipulation match, so I'm just happy with seeing two ranks next to each other in a big ass cage. But I did, this year particularly, and honestly last year too, I think that the first year they brought it to the main roster with the Bloodline against the Brawling Brutes, Team Brawling Brutes or whatever. When they first brought it back, it was I think it was warranted. The Bloodline was full strength, and nobody could take him down. And it just made sense. I don't know. It just seemed like the perfect place to have Sami Zayn be solidified as a member of the Bloodline, which kind of led to everything that happened after. And, Montreal for Elimination Chamber, Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, and then all the way up to Cody finishing the story. That whole thing it made sense at the time. That's what I'm saying. Last year, it was cool. The men's match, at least, because it was a combination of, Team Judgment Day versus the baby faces. Essentially, all the top baby faces came together to fight, a common villain in the Judgment Day. And now it's a little bit different. I think that the women's match has suffered from not having enough going on with it too. And I wish that they would only do the one that made sense. This year, if they wanted to do a War Games match with the NXT women, I would have been like, cool. Like, that makes a lot of sense. But this year, it's just like, let's throw together some baby faces and some heels and, fuck it. I don't like that. I care about the sanctity of these matches, honestly. I'm not just saying that. I actually do think that there is still something to being like, hey, like the rivalry is so heated that we have to have two cages and two teams and whatever. That's kind of where War Games is at. Now it's become the yearly event. Maybe one day they'll go back to the traditional Survivor Series matches. I do think there's still something to doing both, almost having like one War Games match and then also having traditional Survivor Series matches, or just putting the War Games match on a different show where it will make sense. It's hard to have that kind of match. I guess if you have a force like the Judgment Day or like the Bloodline, where it's like there's too many of us, there's one person fighting us, we can challenge that one person. We can say, hey, no matter what we do, we'll give you the chance to find 4 of your friends, come fight us in the cage, right? That's kind of what happened this year with the Bloodline. So we have what is it's either OG Bloodline or Bloodline OG. I prefer to call him Bloodline OG. So Bloodline OG and now CM Punk have come together. They were challenged previous to CM Punk joining by the current Bloodline, or just the Bloodline, which is Solo Sikoa, the Tongans, as well as Jacob Fatu, with Bronson Reed joining them. This match, I actually am looking forward to a lot. I know a lot of people are extremely burnt out on Bloodline shit. I still enjoy it. I still like the fucking 20-minute segments, even if I complain about them. I've complained about The Rock taking too long. I've complained about many things. So I'm no stranger to saying that, hey, this sucks. And with all that in mind, I still, like I said, I'm looking forward to the. I've been calling it Bloodline World War. Some people are saying Civil War 2 or just Civil War, but they did already have a Civil War. That's why I'm saying this is Bloodline World War. 5-on-5, twists and turns and whatever. I like the inclusion of CM Punk. I don't know where you put him as far as like placement in the match. I would probably go either right at the end or maybe come out first. I want this match to have the amount of violence that we had with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. That was really special. And the match by itself is actually very, very good. But the blood and the weapons and the shenanigans just made it like incredible. Match of the year for me, until yesterday when we had Big Boom AJ versus QT Marshall. Until that match happened, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk was my match of the year. Now, the War Games, they have the opportunity to do something with that. I don't want everyone to be bloody and crazy, but I think they should run the blade, man. Especially CM Punk. He likes to run the blade. Roman Reigns, let him run the blade. Sami Zayn, can you imagine a bloody Sami Zayn? Or like even like Jacob Fatu, just like covered in blood, going crazy. The Tongans, Tonga Loa, bloodied up, beating everybody up like he typically does. I just think that they have to make it worth their time, and it has to look like a battle. They have the opportunity to make War Games mean something the same way that they rehabbed Hell in a Cell a couple months ago. They can also bring that war back to War Games. I also think that the women should do the same. I mean, go right ahead. I actually think the women's match has a little more heat into it, just because of what's happened with Rhea Ripley. Jade Cargill got jumped. I think she's gonna be out of the match. Probably gonna be replaced by Bayley. I don't know that yet. As of right now, we have the babyface team, which is Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, TBA, Naomi, and Io Sky versus Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae. Tiffany Stratton, I hope they taught you how to make a gig and cut yourself, because you're going to have to bleed. I'm so sorry, Tiffany. You're great. You might be the rookie of the year. If I guess this would be your first year, you might be rookie of the year. But if you run the blade, you might just be superstar of the year. Triple H, Paul, I know that you're watching this. You need to let him do it. You need to bring back War Games, man. Harley Race would have loved it. You need to let it happen. So, I mean, I don't know. If you're listening to this, watching this, do you think that War Games kind of like lost its like flair, or do you think that it just never really had it in WWE? Is there room for the match to be a yearly occurrence, but still kind of be a part of the zeitgeist and still be like violent and, you know, impressive, even if it's like, well, it's a yearly event, but also we're also gonna do you know, the violence every time that it happens. It kind of like Elimination Chamber. We know it's coming, we know when it's happening, but are they gonna make it feel like an Elimination Chamber? I mean, I don't know, because that's even the reason why Hell in a Cell wasn't, you know, fun anymore, because it's like, who gives a shit anymore? We know that it's coming around October. So, anyway, yes, I am excited for War Games, like I said. And if you're not, this kind of goes to my next talking point in the, you know, today's show, which is just being burnt out on wrestling in general. I know that it's November, almost December now. Holidays are coming. We're going to get a lot of pre-tape shows, looks like during the holidays. And it's just hard to avoid spoilers. The product, it's not maybe fun for a lot of people. Like I said, some people are just burnt out on the Bloodline story. They feel like nothing is like really consequential because it's so close to WrestleMania. I try to enjoy wrestling in general. And I don't mean like enjoy all wrestling. I mean like I just try to just look at it objectively and not think that, you know, I try to be optimistic, I guess, and that could be a fault for me. I just treat it like everything's gonna be okay. I just look forward to the next thing. AEW for the better part of the year has not been the strongest show, in my opinion. So I do think that they have really good stuff, but it's hard to get invested because something cool happens, you're enjoying it, and then they just fuck it up completely. And it's just hard to get invested in general. But if you're feeling burnt out on wrestling, I have some advice. I have some things you can do. We're going to call this how to get rid of wrestling burnout. The first thing you can do to get rid of that wrestling burnout, you can just enjoy other forms of media. There are movies, there is TV, there is music you can enjoy. There's a world of things. If it's available to you, you know, streaming services. There's Netflix and Max and Peacock, and they all have something for you to watch. I've been actually rewatching The Sopranos. Amazing show. Having a lot of fun. I'm having a hard time not acting Italian, if that makes sense. So just watching other stuff other than wrestling that's a good way to not get burned out. The second thing, you can watch old shows. You can watch old WWE, you know, the WWE library, wherever you can find that. Netflix, Peacock, the WWE Network, you know, as long as it still exists. You can go on Triller Plus. They have GCW shows, Revolver shows. They have a lot of like indie wrestling on there. NJPW World. If you like New Japan, Wrestle Universe. If you like DDT and Noah, and I think they have Stardom on there, or maybe it's Marigold. YouTube, you can go on YouTube, youtube.com, the website that if you're watching the video that you're watching this on, you can go right now on YouTube and you can watch ROH, like old ROH stuff. You can watch El Generico versus Kevin Steen. It's all there. It's free. So there's a lot of options. Even if you don't want to pay for a subscription, you can always do that. You can always watch some old wrestling. Currently, during my runs, because I have a TV where I have that treadmill, I've been watching the Great American Bash from 1989, if I'm not mistaken. It's actually a War Games match at the end of that show. The opener was this, what was it called? King of the Hill Battle Royal. It was horrible, but it's fine. It's fine. It's just old. It's just fun. It's silly. Something else you can do. You can just go to a live show. If this is available to you, I know this is not available for everyone in the world. If you're in the US, there's probably an indie promotion pretty close to you, or at least within an hour or so of you. WWE runs a lot of shows in most of the US. AEW runs shows. But again, just go to an indie wrestling show. Those are, I want to say that most places will have a live show for you to watch. That always helps. Kind of going back to my other point with streaming stuff. You can watch different, live shows. Like I said, on Triller, that indie stuff on Triller, on DPW on demand. You can watch that stuff. That's kind of feels like going to a live show, but just being there, not hearing the commentary, just watching people have matches, it's life changing. If it is available, if you can afford it, go to a live show. It's the best way to take care of that burnout. You could also watch WWE or AEW, weekly shows. You can watch them just without social media. I found that sometimes just enjoying the show and not hearing everyone else's opinions, kind of just making your own and thinking this sucks, or I like this, or or I feel indifferent about this. I think that helps. I think it helps to not be just connected all the time. We are way too connected. I think as humans, we weren't meant to be so connected. So it just kind of helps to not be so connected and just go in there and just watching the show without that social media. The last thing you can do is you can just take a break from watching wrestling. Just stop. No one's forcing you to watch wrestling. And if you're feeling burnt out, just take a break. Even if it's just a single week, 2 weeks, a month, a year, just take a break. See what happens. And then come back, see where we're at. You're not going to miss out on much. You can, if it really matters to you that you are not like up to date on like current wrestling, just follow it through social media, but don't watch it. That may, they say that absence makes the heart grow fonder. So that may be what you want to do. That might be the way to cure the burnout. I personally am not. I just don't get that wrestling burnout, and it's probably because I enjoy so many different other like forms of wrestling. I'm very passionate about pro wrestling, so I just find ways. If I'm not enjoying WWE at the moment, if I'm not enjoying AEW at the moment, which are the two main companies in America, again, I just watch old stuff. That the WWE library is really rich. It has a lot of good stuff. It has a lot of shit stuff, and sometimes that's just fun. WCW Thunder is like my go-to when I want just something in the background. So there's just ways to take care of that wrestling burnout. But with that, again, if you don't enjoy other forms of media, that could also affect your viewing. So just do that. Do what I did. I've been listening to a lot of music. Kendrick Lamar dropped a surprise album on Friday, GNX. It's awesome. It's kind of came out of nowhere. I still haven't built like a good opinion on it because I've only listened to the whole thing once. I want to give it a couple more listens. There's definitely songs that are standouts that I really like. I was gonna say the opener, the first song, the intro or whatever, whacked out murals. Sorry, great song. I love it. Fantastic. Fucking bars. Kendrick seems pretty angry, but at the same time, I guess like optimistic. I don't know. There's Hey Now that I fucking love. Squabble Up. The snippet from that They Not Like Us video finally came out. Fucking surprised, man. I'm still waiting on that snippet from the All Right video. I'm pretty sure that's the one. The Tell Me Who That Bitch. To Pimp a Butterfly, another classic CD. I don't know if that's ever gonna come out. Probably not. I figured that like Untitled or Mastered would have it, but it doesn't have it. Yeah, I mean GNX is fun, it's great. Maybe I'll come back next week or whenever the next episode comes out, and I'll tell you this album is actually not good or it is good. So far, I think it's good. I'm enjoying it. And yeah, I'll give you a better review when I have a better education. But just having new Kendrick is like, holy shit, man. Kendrick Lamar is my favorite rapper personally. So I was very happy that it came out. I was so fucking shocked that he dropped an album just out of nowhere. A legitimate surprise for most people. I think that few were expecting it. They thought, well, I mean, I feel like he got the bug, after that whole Drake thing. He probably thought about it. None of the diss tracks are on the album, by the way. The other album that I've enjoyed so much, like loved, might be my album of the year. It's CHROMAKOPIA, what is that? Tyler the Creator's like 7th album, if I'm not mistaken. Incredible. To me, CHROMAKOPIA is like Tyler the Creator's. It's like his Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, in the way that it's very mature. It's about being an adult, growing up, having kids, which we don't know if he actually has a kid. Just some of the songs make it seem that way. Like I said, just really mature. We've come a long way from Wolf. And Goblin, to me, Goblin is like this like immature kid just trying to be edgy, and Wolf is like this immature kid trying to be edgy still, but just being a little like more like artsy. I like Wolf a lot, but I do still think that it's very like juvenile, and just seeing the growth of Tyler from that to the first real change, I would say, with it kind of started with Flower Boy. That's kind of what opened up to like a new type of Tyler fan. Igor, which was just straight up pop. Call Me If You Get Lost, and then CHROMAKOPIA, going back to the hip hop, but kind of mixing it up with a little bit of the stuff from Cherry Bomb. I really, really, really do love it. My first listen, not to bring it back to Kendrick, but my first listen of CHROMAKOPIA was like the first time I was sitting in my car in my driveway. I think there was still streaming at the time. I don't remember, but I got the CD of To Pimp a Butterfly. I wanted to get a physical version of it, and I got it in the mail. I put it in my car, and I listened to it, and I remember that feeling of being like, wow, this is very special. This is unlike anything I've heard before. There is something about this album that is just so different, and that's kind of how I felt with CHROMAKOPIA. As I was going through the tracks, it was cool that the features were not listed on there, but as I was going through, I just had a feeling like, man, like this is unlike, this is like an event. This feels very special. As far as highlights from the album, I really like Saint Chroma. Great. I think that is it. Yeah, that's the intro of the album. Darling I, great song. Hey Jane and Sticky with nasty features on that. Glorilla and Sexy Red, both fantastic. Tyler just rapping his ass off. I do like Thought I Was Dead. I'm a huge Schoolboy Q fan. Obviously, going back to the Kendrick thing. TD, that was my shit, man. High school, that was like, it was TD. I would say 8th grade was like Odd Future. And then like junior, senior year was like TD, all fucking TD. So it's kind of poetic that both Kendrick and Tyler dropped same year, both from the West Coast. Seems like they are like on that side of hip hop as opposed to they over there, the DJ Khaled's and the Drakes and the Lil Yachty's of the world. I'm really happy that Schoolboy Q is back on like hip hop. He dropped an album this year too, Blue Lips. I liked it. It's just it's not my favorite Schoolboy Q album. Again, it's one that I haven't sat down and listened too much. But this thing about like me listening to music is kind of like, it's not new. I just took like a long break from that. For a while, it was all podcasts, just kind of listening to podcasts and then making podcasts, of course. But recently, it's just I've been listening to a lot of music, man. Hip hop, kind of back on hip hop. For a while, I was still listening to a lot of rock, like nu metal, Limp Bizkit, a little bit of Deftones, and then Green Day, of course, some pop punk, Paramore, just a lot of bands that I enjoy. I made a whole, like, all kinds of playlists. Some other kind of rock, like more classic rock, like Queen. I love Queen. I have a little bit of Led Zeppelin on my playlist, Sublime, all that good stuff. That was like my vibe for a while. And I'm kind of back to hip hop, probably because there's just a lot of good hip hop right now. Thankfully, or I shouldn't say that. There's a lot of hip hop that I enjoy. I think that good or bad is kind of subjective. Except if you like Playboi Carti, his shit is just not good, and he just fucking sucks. It's just fucking spit. So if you're watching the video, but yeah, like I said, a lot of hip hop. Still Praying from West Side Gun. It's kind of what I've been listening to. This girl, Win, I think that's how you pronounce her name, or on Twitter they were calling her Betty the Butcher. She raps over the same kind of beats that West Side Gun and the Griselda people. Of course, the Butcher. They've been kind of rapping over that kind of like lo-fi hip hop. That's kind of their vibe. And Win is also like rapping over those. She's fucking dope. I've been kind of listening to some of her stuff. Listening to Kendrick and A$AP Rocky, Schoolboy Q, just like, even Mac Miller, just like kind of going on the artist and just clicking play and just letting it play out and see what comes up. Pop music, Sabrina Carpenter's Short and Sweet, great album. Chappell Roan, I got into Chappell Roan recently. I love her shit. She's great. Hot to Go is like stuck in my head most days. Espresso has this, that's Sabrina Carpenter. It has this like neo disco sound, and it has this little like synth, like I fucking love that shit. So a lot of pop music. I've always been like a pop guy, a pop girly, if you will. But yeah, like I said, a lot of Sabrina, a lot of Chappell Roan. I fucking love Harry Styles too. Honestly, sometimes I'll just, at work, I'll just throw on Apple Music Hits. There's this DJ, her name is Jade Donovan. She has a show that comes on around like 11 o'clock, and I love her mixes. Sometimes she'll have just hits. Sometimes she'll do like a more specific kind of like theme. I liked recently she did one where she would play a song and then she would play the song that they sampled and then even the song that song sampled. So it was like a chain of like, for example, like Big Energy by Lotto, but then, Fantasy by Mariah Carey right after, and then, Genius of Love right after that. It was cool. If you like music, if you care about that kind of stuff, that was a cool show to listen to. And the music is good. But again, Jade Donovan, she's a fantastic DJ. Jade, if you're listening to this, thank you for listening. But also, thank you for making those shows. I really do truly enjoy her ear and the way that she plays songs. And like I said, I just like it. I'm a music guy again. And with that, I know that it was kind of a mixed bag of a lot of music talk this episode, but that's kind of what I wanted to do with the show. Now, I want Midwest Midcard to be more of a. I want to talk about wrestling because that's what I care about a lot, but I also just want to have different topics, like if I'm watching a TV show, a movie that I watched recently, kind of want to do a review on that, current events, what I'm working on, or just anything. Even if I see like a trend on Twitter or like anything like that I come up with, I want to do that. This setup for the podcast is temporary. If you're on the video, I think it is temporary. Anyway, I might just go with this, but it is kind of awkward. I have the laptop over here and it's a little bit far away. I am working on other projects. I've been working on this fucking video for so long, and maybe I should have taken time right now to record it, but instead I'm doing a podcast again because I need a space to just fucking talk and just get my thoughts out of my brain. But yeah, if you like this, if you like listening to me, then you're gonna hear a lot more of me just discussing just anything and everything. If you follow me on my Twitter at midcard, please just send me something, DM me, make a tweet, just say, hey, like, I want you to talk about this. I want you to talk about that. I need your opinion on this. Probably stay away from like politics and religion. Unless something like crazy happens and I need to like, I need to be like, the Pope, that motherfucker or something like that. Sorry. Shout out to my Catholics. But I just want to expand the topics so that there's kind of something for, because again, going back to that burnout talk, sometimes I just don't want to talk about wrestling. So maybe we'll have an episode where there's no wrestling. There's something like, a movie review or movies, or, we have a Christmas coming up. I love Christmas movies. I love to discuss some Christmas movies, some Christmas music. I've become like a huge Christmas guy. It's kind of new to me. Historically, I haven't been like the most Christmas person, but now, because of the way my life is, I like it now. So maybe that'll be coming up. Maybe we'll do an episode where we just do a tier list out of whatever, who cares? It's Midwest. It is Midwest Midcard. It is whatever I want to make it. That is the podcast, and this might be a brief episode. I have no idea, but if you enjoyed it, make sure that you leave me a review on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. Leave a comment on YouTube. Again, tweet at me. Follow me on most social medias, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram at midcard. On Blue Sky, it is midcard.bluesky.org or come, whatever. Just look up Midcard. You're probably going to find me. That's MIDCARD. What else? What's other social media? What's the one with where you review the wrestling matches? It's called like Graps or match to, or what the fuck is the name of it? Whatever it is, also midcard. You can find me on YouTube. Again, subscribe, like, anything and everything if you enjoy this. So yeah, we're gonna leave it right there. Thank you so much for listening. Should I say it? Should I bring it back? Live, laugh, love, and wrestle. See you next week.